everyone, it's Shin here, aka Captainofthenx02's, Icy Fury Ice Human, or Arcray Hernandez. That's what everyone knows me as on Tumblr anyway. I also go by Bonesbird on fanfic.net and Archive of Our Own, because I'm that clever. And basically what I've done here is I've set up a Q&A. Loads of people have sent me some lovely messages on Tumblr and a couple of other various places. So I guess I'll just jump right into it. Grisha, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong, but I ain't even sorry. Sir Hamster Picard on Tumblr sent me three questions. Three questions. My top 5 OTPs. This insistent specifically says Star Trek OTPs. I've gone for my top 5 everywhere, which is, begins obviously with my wonderful SAS captains. No matter what happens, they're always going to be my favourite OTP, because, it's the SAS captains, it's Captain Archer and Captain Hernandez, and it's just, yeah, I'm going to stop there. Number 2 is Luca and Abby from ER. I love them basically from Abby's second episode, the first one where they're together, because in her first episode she's just with Carol and Mark. And I started shipping them then, and I've shipped them ever since, and I'm probably always going to ship them, and it's just so cute. After that, we go to episodes and Sean and Beverly. I remember that after season 2, the season 2 finale, when Sean and Beverly got back together, there was a poll on, I think it was Facebook, that said, "Are you happy they're back together?" And it was 100% yes, and it was amazing. Literally the entire fandom ships them. So, not that the episode's fandom is, huge or anything, but, yeah, the entire fandom ships them. Number 4 is Tom and B'Elanna from Voyager, obvious, again, because I've shipped them since I was like a wee little kid, like a 7-year-old, like wee little kid. And then number 5 is my crack ship from About a Boy, which is Fiona and Dakota, because just smush their faces, and there aren't enough femme/ships in the world that would make sense, and Fiona and Dakota would make total sense. Though I have to admit, Dakota trying to set her up with the plumber was one of my favourite episodes. Then question 2 from Grisha is top 5 places to go on Earth. Now these are really easy for me. And they're all in the UK, because while I've been out of the UK, it's always been for hockey trips or for work, so I've not really been touristy anywhere or experienced anywhere, because I've always been going either as a sports person or as a member of the media, and you don't exactly see the real places. So these are just places where I've been, and number 1 on my top 5 places to go is to go back home, to go back to Machynlleth in Wales and just see all my family and my friends and where I grew up and all that stuff. Number 2 is my spiritual home. The home of my beautiful blue and amber boys is Headingley Stadium in Leeds. Specifically Headingley Stadium. Leeds is a decent city, but if I'm going to go to Leeds, I'm going to go to Headingley. Third is where my Irish family comes from. I've got like a quarter of my family is Irish. My mum's mum is Irish, and that's Sligo, up in the northwest of Southern Ireland. And I haven't been there since I was about, I think it was 8 or 9, and I fell off a boat into a nest of swans. Well, I don't know what it's called, but it's where all the swans were living anyway. I keep calling it a nest of swans because I don't know what it's called. And that's basically where, the thing happened and all that stuff, and that's basically where it all is and things, and I'm completely lost what I'm talking about Oh, yeah, and I fell in there and I got bit by swans and things, and I've got scars everywhere, and I'm still terrified of swans, like 20 years on nearly. But I always loved going there when we were little, and I've got really fond memories, and I've found a rock that I still have on Ross's Point, and things like that, that I just remember from when I was a little kid. Number 4 is Edinburgh, up in Scotland. I loved going to Edinburgh when I was young. It was a great place, I just absolutely love it there. And number 5 is back down to Wales and to Aberystwyth, which is where my sister went to university, where a few of our friends all went to university. And it's just a great town, and I really kind of want to see how they've rebuilt the seafront since the storms in January, because that's, that was really heartbreaking, and it's kind of, yeah. And then Grisha's third question is top 5 Star Trek planets, and I'm not going to go into massive detail on these because, they're, apart from one of them, because I feel like I need to explain why I picked it. But the 5 planets are Archbar, Denver, Risa, Ferenginar and Kronos. And the reason I picked Ferenginar is because I'm British and it rains a lot. That's literally the only reason I want to go there. It's probably the place I'd feel the most at home because it rains. And I think the others are kind of self-explanatory. So yeah. Right, next question. I'll explain. No, I won't explain that, but that just reminded me of something. Okay, so this is from Claire, who said, if I could put a character from another Trek show onto Enterprise, who would it be and what would they do? Now, because I'm a sad, twisted and disturbed human being, I would put Icheb onto the NX-01, because I'd want him to just sit around the NX-01 bridge and basically tell Jonathan Archer exactly how stupid all his decisions are, and just sit and watch as John slowly built towards a mental breakdown, because it would be really funny. It would just be so funny. I'd just proper laugh at it like all the time, and it would just be hilarious, like proper funny, and I like that. So yeah, so I hope that answers your question. Actually, basically the only thing that answers is that I'm a horrible person. I don't care. This one's from my wonderful cheesecake, my lovely wife Ring, who says, if I could visit anywhere in the world at the push of a button, where would I go and what would I do? Now, there are technically 2 answers to this. The first one would be to where you are, and what I would do is far too highly rated to go on a video here. I'll tell you later. But the serious and not pervy answer would probably be go back to my Machonkley, just to the family farm, so I could see my sheep and my cow. I miss my cow. I really miss my cow. How pathetic is that? I'm 26 years old and I miss a cow. Shut up. And just, to be able to go and help with my sheep and my cow and my chickens, and see the view from the farm and just basically be at home. That would be really great, because I've not been back for a couple of years and that sucks. Okay, the next one is from Red, my little red girl, who says, are there any amazing words or idioms in Welsh that there isn't an equivalent of in English? Okay, I'm not gonna lie, the only idioms I can think of, I'm pretty sure are family things. Like, they're not Welsh things, they're just stupid shit my family says. Like, if you're gonna herd the sheep, leave the goat at home. Which we've always took to be like, if you go to bed with dog, you're gonna wake up smelling at dog. Basically, that's the kind of thing that one is. And one of my cousins says, if you treat your sheep like your wife and your wife like your mistress, you'll never lose sight at farm. I've never really understood what that one means, I'm not gonna lie, but he says that all the time, and I don't quite know what advice he's trying to give me, but he does say that one quite a lot. I think my favourite word that doesn't have a direct equivalent in English is a clutch, which is it's basically meant to be an intense cuddle shared between loved ones. So like the friends that you love, your family, kids, grandparents, shit like that. So it is synonymous with a cuddle, but with like an added intensity, which sounds really weird and it's really hard to explain, but that's basically how I've always understood it and how it works in my mind, is that that's just like a little bit more of an intensity to it. And I think that's basically my favourite word that there is in Welsh that there isn't in English. Yeah. Okay, Naire, who's Sparrow Dreams, says, what would I do with creative control of the Enterprise section of the Star Trek brand? Basically what we're already planning to do, Naire. I would rewrite the Romulan War with 300% more Erica Hernandez and canon-accurate information. Not only canon-accurate, but also realistic information, because frankly what they do in those books is ridiculous and wouldn't work and would just make no sense whatsoever, but also 300% more Erica Hernandez, because, let's not lie, we all need this. Because, come on, she's Erica Hernandez, look at her face. No, I need to get off Erica Hernandez this one really badly if I don't. Yeah. I'm stopping. I'm not going to do it. Not right now anyway. Not on camera. Right. The next one is from Amelia, who is not on Tumblr. She's on fanfic.net. She writes the most amazing, fluffy, babyfic sass captains, which is fantastic. She's the only person writing them regularly, other than me, as a main pairing, and she's great. That's Amelia Elizabeth, and she also writes Janeway Chakotay babyfic. So if you're into that pairing, like my lovely wife, you guys can go check her out. You should go check her out because she's an amazing writer. She's really good. And she's an absolute sweetheart. I speak to her all the time. But anyway, on to her question. She sent me 5 questions. She says, what was the first episode of Enterprise I remember watching, and the first episode of Star Trek in general? Now, the first episode of Enterprise I ever watched was Broken Bow, and I know that because I watched it right from the very beginning on Sky One on a Thursday night, starting the week after Voyager ended, because obviously that was when the UK still generally had a really big gap between when it was shown in America and when it was shown in the UK. But it was condensed a lot by the fact that we went straight from Voyager to Enterprise within a few months, and then we didn't have a summer hiatus between the first and second seasons. So by the end of the second season, Sky had caught up to the American broadcasting. So that's how I know for a fact that it was Broken Bow, because I watched it right from the beginning. The first episode of Star Trek I remember watching is Day of Honor from Voyager Season 4. But I know that I was watching Star Trek a lot before that anyway, because my mum's told stories of the things that I'd say while watching it, and there are pictures of me with the books and shit like that, so I know that I watched it before that, if you know what I mean. So I'm just moving my leg because it's cramped up. Right, okay. If I could write myself into any episode, what would it be? I'm not a fan of self-insert in general. I never have been. But I would have really enjoyed seeing the NX programme in detail. So I'd say that if I was going to be written into anything, it would be First Flight, which is incidentally my second favourite episode of Enterprise anyway. But it's also just a really great episode, and it tells a lot about what happened, before, in the early years, and it's just great. Right. If I could name a starship anything, what would it be? Oh, this one's hard. I'd probably name it after one of the 2 rivers where I was brought up. So either the River Roach here in Rochdale, so I'd call it the Roach, which is the name of the river here, like I say, in Rochdale, and Rochdale's named after it. And or the other one would be the Dovey back home in Machynlleth, and it runs alongside Machynlleth, whereas the road runs through Rochdale. And you know, I think it's a really nice idea to just call it that. Now, if I could live in any time period, what would it be? Probably the if we were doing Star Trek time period, it'd be the 22nd century. But historically, I don't know. I probably wouldn't, because I quite like the rights that I was born with and that I have now, and I live in the UK, so I've got a lot of rights that people in other countries don't have, and that is, you know, so I probably wouldn't want to give any of them up, so I'd probably want to stay in this current period. If I could watch only one television station for the rest of my life, what would it be? This may sound a little blah, boring, but it would probably be BBC News or BBC Parliament, which is funny because obviously I work for the BBC News, but I watch them half my life now anyway, because it's the things that I'm interested in, politics and current affairs. So probably them. But you know, that's not desperate. Right, and so that's Amelia's 5 questions, and these are my last 5 questions, and they're from Ika. As in my best friend Ika. If you guys, most people on Tumblr probably don't know her, but a few do. And anyone who doesn't is welcome to go and find her on fanfic.net. I've just had a moth land on my fucking arm. What the fuck are you doing? Right, anyway, yeah, so if you want to go and find Ika on fanfic.net, she's pinkangel17. And you should go find her, because she writes really good stuff as well, and she's my best friend. So she's quite fun. Sorry, this moth's really fucking putting me off. Right, anyway, right, carry on. What is my most... You know that Ika's written these because they're mad and they're very, very me questions, right? Which is my fondest memory of my more insane neighbours? Now, for those of you who don't know this story, though most of you will have seen the post I made the other day about my neighbour who found her husband watching porn and threw the laptop out the window. Which is not that uncommon for the area I live in. I live in an area that's got quite a few characters, and we've got a prostitute that lives on the end of the road who's lovely. We've got the folk up the back. My next door neighbour's an arsehole. There's my uncle who lives on the other side of me, who's basically a mad scientist. We're just a really, really colourful area to live in, and so probably the more fun, I think the firemen, we had some really nasty big thunderstorms throughout the entire UK a few weeks ago now, and they were hitting really bad in Rochdale here, and there was some, and it was obviously it was really early in the morning, but it was hitting really close, and it went on for more than an hour and a half, and it was right over the town, and actually the house across the road from me got hit, and there's a fireman round back, and basically because this neighbourhood is insane, there were folk going out in the gardens, there were folk trying to get pictures, you know, and the fireman round back ended up coming out and shouting, no, stay in your houses, it's a friggin' thunderstorm, stay in your houses. It was really funny, actually. It doesn't sound funny, and at the time it was pretty terrifying, but it's friggin' hilarious. That's just the area I live in. There's no common sense between any of us. It's great. And you know, like nearly all of us have, you know, pretty high profile, high pressure jobs, and we're just all insane. A lot of us, this entire area is nuts. So yeah, that's probably one of my favourites. There's probably others, but that's definitely a favourite. The naked dancing is another. I'm not going to go into that one, but there was naked dancing one New Year's. Right, number 2 from Ika is, if I had to be stuck in a room for weeks on end with either 7 of 9 or T'Pol, which would I choose? T'Pol. I'm less likely, well, actually I'm pretty likely to punch either of them in the face, but I'm less likely to be up on a murder charge at the end of it with T'Pol than I am with 7, because I really fucking hate 7. Sorry everyone, but I do. I've hated her since I was a kid. It's not going to change. Oh, and then she adds to that of, what about Kirk or Picard? You know, I think I'd probably pick Kirk, because at least he and I could perv on people together. You know, lesbian Kirk, you know, he respects women and he also is a perv, so, you know, I'd be able to perv with Kirk, so let's go with Kirk. Plus he's not got that whole superiority thing that Picard has that really pisses me off. Yeah, so Kirk. T'Pol and Kirk. Yeah, I made the right choices. Right. Which is my favourite Star Trek language? Ooh. I really like both Klingon and Vulcan because they both have very interesting sounds. Like, Klingon's sounds really funny to me because when it's spoken, it has a lot of the same guttural sounds as Welsh, and it rolls and it combines a lot of letters in the same way, not written down but in the verbalising. So I think I like Klingon and I like Vulcan because it's so soft and it's so different, and sort of it reminds me of a few Scandinavian languages almost. And it's got that lyrical quality as well, which I find really interesting to listen to. Like, I can't speak a friggin' word of them, but I like listening to folk speaking them. Man up, they could be telling me that I'm a dickhead and they hate me, but, you know, if it sounds sweet, I'm gonna like it. I'm weird, aren't I? Oh well. Right. Who would I send out an airlock first, Reed or Trip? Reed. Definitely. I probably wouldn't send Trip out an airlock. I'd probably just sit him down and lecture him and tell him all the things that he did wrong. Whereas, you know, Reed just pisses me off from time to time. Like, not all the time. He's a good character and he's fun, but he pisses me off quite a lot, so I'd probably have pushed him out. I might save him though for Brenna, because, you know, Brenna likes him, so... Right, fifth and last, and this is the last question. Explain the evils of the Furby. Now I'm going to assume that this is the Furby that lives in the garden next door. Now this Furby has been out in the garden since probably the end of March. It is now August. This Furby has been rained on so many times, and it's still alive, and it still talks, and every so often at 4 o'clock in the morning it will start raining, and the Furby will start shouting at me, "It's time to go, bye!" Fuck off. Go die in a fire. You're a fucking Furby. You've been rained on. You're a fucking Furby. Stop speaking to me. I'm not your mate. I'm 26. I set fire to more of you when I was a kid than, you know, there's probably even of you in the... You know what I mean? I hate Furbies. Oh, they're horrible. They stay alive. Me and Miss Lauren set fire to toilets once when we were about 11. And seriously, I mean, like, we were giving it the full flamethrower with a deodorant can treatment. We were proper giving it the full thing, and it stayed alive and it kept talking to us while it was on fire. It was literally on fire. It was melting and it was still talking to us. It was terrifying. We also ran one over with a tractor and it wasn't even damaged, and I mean like a 2-ton tractor, and we ran it over with a 2-ton tractor and there was nothing. Now when I was about 12. We put one on top at barn. It was still alive last time I was there. And, you know, we buried one in garden, and we were horrible to them, but they never died. I swear to God that when the zombie army comes, it won't be friggin' zombies, it'll be a Furby army. Because they're impossible to destroy. If they became sentient, we'd all be fucked. You do realise that, right? If Furbies were sentient, we would be dead. And I don't mean a little dead, I mean dead, like corpse dead. We would be dead, because Furbies would rule the world. So now that you've had my essay on Furbies and shit like that, I'm going to sign this off, because that's it, that's the questions. But I'm going to take this as a little opportunity to just say ta to everyone who sent questions in and everyone who watches this, you know, because you guys are pretty damn rad too. And, you know, special thanks to my crazies, you know, to Rin, to Ika, to Amelia, to everyone else, you know, just everyone, because you're just all fab. And just thanks for putting up with, you know, thanks for putting up with my blog, which is dedicated to a minor TV character who was in 25 minutes of a TV show. You know, you all put up with the fact that I'm completely dedicated to this one single character. You know, some of you even associate her pictures with me, which is amazing. And so basically that's what this all is now. It's just like me saying thank you for just, you know, putting up with me. And, you know, just the fact that, you know, it's been great for us and great for me, and just, yeah, thank you. Basically, that's the whole thing. It's just a giant thank you, because it's what's important, innit?